Well, can say I'm surprised to be making this video. I don't think any of us are, to be honest. So, as you probably heard by now, Unity some days ago announced a bunch of changes to their monetization. If by chance you don't know what I'm talking about, I will leave a link in the description for a video where I talk about it. Basically, long story short, Unity once again wants to make more money, and people are not happy about it, to say the least. Unity seem to have just kind of ignored the pushback for the most part. However, with recent news, it seems they have decided to walk their decision back and change their new pricing model. So at long last, Opera can take a breather from their fight against Unity. Now keep in mind that this has not been officially announced yet, but it is effectively confirmed, as Mark Witten, a Unity executive, stated the company is running these changes by their partners in order to avoid their further pushback from the community. So what are these new changes specifically? Well, you remember this whole graph? Basically it goes into the garbage, and instead they are doing exactly what I was saying since the original changes were announced, which is basically to copy what Unreal is doing. Of course they had to change the actual percentage of the revenue split, so it's not so obvious. Jokes aside, it is most likely that they are simply trying to one-up Unreal, since it seems many Unity developers swapped to Unreal. Well, that or they are trying to lure people who left back in. Regardless of their intention, these changes are definitely better from what they originally announced. So, does this mean Unity is saved? Well, that depends. Like I said, these changes are positive. However, at the end of the day, they still mean that as a Unity developer, you will lose part of your revenue, at least compared to how it used to be before any of these changes were announced. This is of course assuming that you reach the thresholds, which so far it seems the only one is to make over $1 million. As far as I know, it hasn't been yet announced if there are any other thresholds like installs or over what period of times do you need to make over $1 million. Now, this is just my personal opinion. This is not the end or the last we have seen of Unity's greed. I mean, this isn't even the first time they pulled something like this, where they are trying to make as much money as possible. And I mean, let's be honest here. Does anyone really think that they walked this back because they suddenly realized that this new system is badly designed, or that it's harmful towards any developer whether they are indie or studio and reach some point of success? No, of course not. They are walking it back because of the pushback they got from the people, and because it would most likely lose them more money than it would ever make. And you might be thinking, but doesn't that mean that they are listening to their community and change things based on that? Well, sure, that is one way to look at it, but the other way to look at it is that if this works out for them and people do come back to Unity and people forgive them, then the next time they come up with changes to make more money from their customers, instead of announcing those, they just need to come up with some ridiculous over-the-top changes instead, announce those, and then after few days of outrage, walk it back and just be like, so we hear you and we agree, we will change it to something that looks good in comparison. So, in conclusion, should everyone go back to Unity now? I think this is a decision everyone will have to make for themselves. Do you want to go back to using an engine that already showed their lack of respect to their community and customers? I will leave that decision up to you. Anyway, I will leave the link to the article about this in the description so you can read it for yourself. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Bye!